If you watched Squid Game, you may have felt that the Elite's dialogue in episode 7 was a bit stilted at times. While my last video was about character choice in Squid Game, today I'm going to give you a couple key dialogue lessons from Squid Game's 7th episode that you can apply to your own screenplay. We will look at how to fix a scene's conflict to improve your dialogue, and we will look at the 3-line rule, a simple dialogue trick that will instantly give your scene stronger momentum. Let's begin. Let's start by actually taking a look at the initial meeting of the elites and begin analyzing their dialogue to see what we can adjust. As the elites arrive and get settled in, they begin talking with one another, and we get a sense that they are archetypal, snobby, evil elites.
No! No, don't do it, you asshole! Fucking loser!
What are you so worked up about?
I put a lot of money on that dickhead to win.
Not too much conflict here, just setting up who they are.
So, how are your scores so far? Bet on any winners?
No. For some reason, I keep picking losers.
Then here we get the initial moment of the detective meeting one particular elite, but other than that, it's a pretty flat scene.
Well, if I can't do 69, I'll try 96.
So 3 times in the beginning of the episode, we cut to the elites and nothing's really going on. The scenes feel flat and there's very little conflict. It's not that the specific dialogue lines are the problem, it's that the scenes lack motivation and conflict. Most people look at dialogue as a major problem, but the specific words you're choosing for a line of dialogue is very rarely the actual problem. Dialogue feeling flat like this is a symptom of the scene motivation not being clear. Let's look at 2 ways we could fix this. So for the first version, I'm going to keep in line with the pieces the scene already gives. The detective has snuck into the room as a waiter, and he essentially watches the elites through these flat scenes. One simple fix would be to create some simple dramatic tension using the detective. For a quick lesson on dramatic tension, let's hear from Alfred Hitchcock.
4 people are sitting around a table, talking about baseball, whatever you like. 5 minutes of it, very dull. Suddenly, a bomb goes off, blows the people to smithereens. What do the audience have? 10 seconds of shock. Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table and will go off in 5 minutes.
So rather than the detective simply watching them, maybe there's a particular piece of physical evidence he must grab without them noticing. Or maybe he must grab a key from the front man. Or maybe he accidentally leaves a clue that he isn't part of the waitstaff out in the open that he must conceal. In those cases, the audience can actually feel some tension while the detective actually has an active goal in the room other than to sit back and record what's going on with his phone. In the current version, everyone in the scene has what they want, so there is no dramatic tension. The detective is collecting evidence, the elites are enjoying the game, the front man is hosting. So we have no active characters and no dramatic tension. Giving the detective a more active problem would create more tension and a stronger reason for the audience to care about these scenes. Another fix, which would be more in line with the theme of the show, is to have the elites be able to manipulate the game in some unfair way. Clearly the game isn't truly fair in the sense that if you happen to choose a vest with a lower number, you are effectively dead immediately. What's stopping the elites from having the ability to make the games more fun to watch by allowing them to influence what happens? Then we actually have some action being taken by the elites, making them more active, involved characters, rather than having them simply commentate the game and make a few weak jokes. We see the frontman give a hint to the players, so maybe the elites could offer hints as well. Then you could have 2 groups, one sabotaging the contestants, one giving hints. Then we could have some real conflict, and the actions of the elites would be directly involved with our main characters in the game. But the point of both of these versions of fixing it is that creating active characters with clear conflict is much more important than the specific words you're choosing in dialogue. Most of you watching this are concerned that your dialogue feels flat or unnatural, but 9 times out of 10, it's not your dialogue that isn't working. It's that there is no conflict in the scene. Your characters don't really want something, and they don't go after anything. Before you get frustrated about your dialogue, return to the fundamentals of a scene to make sure they are met. If you want more on scene building, click the link in the description to watch my How to Write a Scene video. Once the scene is working, now we can take a look at a simple but extremely helpful dialogue rule that can instantly make your dialogue stronger. The 3-line rule is a dialogue rule that I learned from Dominic Morgan, a WGA screenwriter who has a YouTube channel called Scriptfella, linked below. Here's how the 3-line rule works. As writers, we instinctively like to write 3 lines that say the exact same thing when a character is speaking. If you go back through your old screenplays, you will likely find examples of you doing this multiple times. All the 3-line rule says to do is simply to pick the best line and cut the other 2, allowing your dialogue to flow faster and avoiding bogging down the momentum by repeating the same piece of information. Let's look at some examples of what I mean by returning to Squid Game. 10 minutes into episode 7 and we get our first dialogue from the elites. Nothing wrong here, the host isn't here, and we have a bit of conflict as they come in to watch the next game.
I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Now let's listen to how the masked elite replies to this statement.
Listen, I'm willing to give anybody some slack. That's not a problem. I just have to say that I'm a difficult man to please. I hope you won't disappoint me.
Let's break this down. He says 4 lines here. Well, I hope not. I can give anyone some slack, that's not a problem. I'm a difficult man to please, and I hope you won't disappoint me. All of these lines essentially say the same thing. Rather than having this long monologue, in response to, I'm sure you won't be disappointed, he could simply say, well, we'd better not be. And in one line, he can show that he has authority, and disappointing him would be a problem. We don't need 4 long lines here. This is how the 3-line rule works. Cut the unnecessary lines, keep 1 clear line. Also, an extra note here, not only does he give this little speech that takes too long, talking more generally makes you seem less powerful. So since this is supposed to be a powerful character, 1 line delivered with some strength would work much better. 20 minutes into the episode, the contestants are picking their vests for the next game. Watch this scene.
Shall I help them along in their decision?
Sure. Drop them a hint.
Show mercy to the miserable.
Okay, do it.
So if you're paying attention, it should be clear the change that I would suggest. We don't need the elites saying yes 3 different ways. The first one works best, and if you cut straight from that line into the hint being given, it flows much better. Like this.
Shall I help them along in their decision?
Sure. Drop them a hint.
There is no reason to hear the other elites' lines of dialogue. We don't learn anything, it doesn't move the story forward, and the lines are stilted. With these 2 examples, you can see that the 3-line rule is a quick, easy fix that can be used to polish your dialogue instantly. Now you can clearly see that when dealing with dialogue that isn't working, first, check to make sure your characters are actually going after a goal in that scene, and something needs to be in their way to cause conflict. Once you actually have a scene that's working, you can use the 3-line rule to cut out excess lines of dialogue and keep your scene momentum high. And if you're interested in working with me directly to solve every major problem in your feature-length screenplay, then click the link below and we can discuss working together one-on-one on your script. Thanks for watching.